Hello everyone, this is a further update relating my OCD situation, and regrettably I have to tell you everyone that forget about last video that I made regarding the Wyman's wallpaper juices that I just received through a seller that sold them from Amazon Mexico, because regrettably they are all out of date. They are bad, all of them. Their expiry date was more than half a year ago. So they are undrinkable, really. I tried to ignore it. I realized it because I did check before drinking them, and I said fuck. But then I said, well, let's hope that it's not that bad and that, you know, because it's wild blueberries, and wild blueberries are antiviral and antibacterial, and have so many antioxidants that it's not going to be so bad for my system. So I did made a smoothie with papaya, and no, it didn't work. I took like 3 bottles in a couple of days, and now I have diarrhea, I have stomach ache. So basically, I'm not going to be able to take them, which is a pity, not only because it's a waste of time, but because it's a lot of money here. In the US, the 12 bottles, the price is $549.99, I think, or it used to be, meaning almost $150. However, here in Mexico, I guess that because of the fees of importation, etc., customs, or and because the seller also needs to make business with it, it's more than the double of price. It's something like around 400 and more than $400. It's more than $400. So it's a lot of money. And now that I'm without a job, I'm really dependent on my parent support, which I don't want to keep leaning on anymore, as I'm 35 years old and it's a very uncomfortable situation, and on my astrology readings. So I hope that the seller is going to send me a new box. They said that they don't accept devolutions of their products, so I couldn't choose that option. I mean, that's not an option because they said this product is cannot be returned. Uh, so that's not going to be an option, but I hope that they are going to send me a new box, because, of course, the product that they send me is unusable, right? It's not consumable. So let's see what happens. I will let you know. I will be the first to put a video the moment I receive the new box with the juices that are not expired. But well, in the meantime, I will continue to say thank you, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, because I have obsessive, compulsive, repetitive, negative, insulting thoughts of whomever, whatever I see or think about all the time, every day, 24 hours a day. I days that are worse than others, and I cannot control it and I cannot do anything about it. As far as I know, the only cure is the medical medium heavy metal tox smoothie, and one of the key ingredients are the wild blueberries. In fact, although Anthony says in Medical Medium Brain Saver that there's not one of the 5 key ingredients that is the most important, I actually believe that, at least in my condition, the wild blueberries are the most important, because they not only are critical for removing toxic heavy metals from the brain, but they are also critical for healing the brain tissue that was injured, that was damaged. And that's also something that I said in the previous video original, that for a strange reason it disappeared, and then I had to record it and I didn't say it, so I'm going to take the opportunity to say this time that one of the reasons that it takes so long to heal my OCD is because, first of all, When the five key ingredients of the heavy metal toxic smoothie, which by the way I have not been able to take a single full heavy metal toxic smoothie, never in my life, less in the past 2 years, because I don't have the resources to get all the ingredients and the prices that are here in Mexico. The point is that um, supposing that you are taking the full heavy metal toxic smoothie, because of the natural irrigation of the brain, of the circulatory system, the ingredients are going to first reach certain areas of the brain. And if there are toxic heavy metals in their way that they contact first before they get to the actual place in your brain where you have the toxic heavy metals and the brain injury that is causing your OCD, those ingredients are going to first start taking out those other toxic heavy metals in their way, and then until all those metals in their way are free and they are able to get to the place where they have the toxic heavy metals that are causing your issue, only until that point is that going to make a difference really, and start taking extracting those toxic heavy metals that are causing your OCD. And then it's not only until the place is fully clear, absolutely cleared completely of toxic heavy metals, that the brain is going to detect that it's now ready to grow new tissue. And that also takes time. That doesn't happen overnight. And in order for that process of brain tissue regeneration to occur properly, Anthony explains that you need to keep taking the heavy metal toxic smoothie. And I believe that in that regard, the most important aspect of the heavy metal toxic smoothies are the wild blueberries, because also in life changing expanded edition, Anthony says that berries in general are uh, important to heal brain lesions. In this case, this is an injury, a lesion caused by toxic heavy metals. So it takes really, really a long term commitment, which is what Anthony says in Medical Medium Brain Saver, in order for you to fully heal from a symptom or a condition. Probably. I mean, maybe you are super lucky and the ingredients touch first the area that is causing you trouble, and then the solution comes faster. But if not, then it's going to be a long journey. And if you have OCD, you have a lot of toxic heavy metals in your brain, which means that probably you also have toxic heavy metals elsewhere in the brain. They don't go only to one place in the brain, they go to several parts. They produce Asperger's syndrome. I believe that I have Asperger's syndrome. They produce autism, ADHD, depression, anxiety. Sometimes they can be the exclusive uh, makers of depression and anxiety. Of course, other times they only contribute, but they do contribute, and sometimes they are the only cause for depression and anxiety. How many people are depressed? How many people have anxiety? They cause Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's disease, dementia, schizophrenia, psychosis, epilepsy, seizures. It's something really, really awful and terrible. And the reality is that people don't know. Medicine and science don't know. Anthony said in his first book, published in 2015, Medical Medium, that even 100 years from then, around 90 years from now, science will not recognize that Alzheimer is 100% mercury caused. In Brain Saver, he clarified that it's usually a combination between mercury and aluminum, mainly, but the key ingredient that needs to be present in order for Alzheimer's to be Alzheimer's is mercury in the brain. So, why? Because there's a lot of issues, a lot of power behind the scenes that vested interests that word doesn't come out that mercury is causing Alzheimer's, dementia, and so many diseases. Why? Because, well, they put mercury in pharmaceuticals, in medicine, they put mercury in vaccines, so it would be a big issue, right? There are so many industries that use toxic heavy metals, and of course, they are not going to say mercury, aluminum in their ingredients. They just put them there. Plus chemtrails, plus many other sources, right, of exposure that we all uh, are exposed every day of our lives. So if you think that this doesn't have anything to do with you, think twice. And if you have ever felt depressed or felt anxious, um, consider the fact that you might have toxic heavy metals in your brain that are contributing. If you have ever eaten fish at all in your life, you have toxic heavy metals in your brain. Just because you are living in this planet, you have toxic heavy metals in the brain. They are inherited by the sperm and the ovocyte from our parents if they had them before we were conceived. They are ubiquitous, they are everywhere, used in so many industries. We do get exposed to them. So, as always, never use aluminum on the kitchen. Try to eat sardines instead of tuna fish because it's a smaller fish, and Anthony explains in Brain Saver, medical medium Brain Saver protocols, connects, and recipes that because it's a smaller fish, it has less toxic heavy metals than bigger fish such as tuna fish, for example. Salmon is also usually a best option. Actually, Anthony says that wild salmon is better than farm raised salmon if you really love fish, but make sure that you eat every day tons and tons of fresh cilantro, that you eat every day spirulina, barley grass juice powder extract, Atlantic dulse, and if you have access to wild blueberries, please eat them for me. And think about how lucky you are to have wild blueberries available that you can get, because in most places of the planet, wild blueberries are not available in a way, shape, or form, and or they are super expensive, which is Mexico's case. The Emergis powder here in Mexico is completely outrageously expensive, considering that you need 2 tablespoons per heavy metal toxic smoothie, and 2 tablespoons are 30 grams. And the bottle has, well, the standard bottle, or then what I am calling the standard bottle, which actually now they call, I don't know the name of the size of the bottle. The 250 grams bottle, I mean, lasts like 8 days, and it's like $120. So you really need a lot of money for 1 month of metal toxic smoothie, and considering that you need to take it every day long term, and you also need to get the spirulina, the barley grass powder extract, the Atlantic dulse. Only the spirulina you get readily in Mexico, as well as, thanks God, fresh cilantro, of course, which is a staple in Mexican kitchen. But it's a lot of money. It's completely difficult, and of course, when you have a mental disease, having a job is difficult, especially if your mental disease, your OCD, has to do with insulting everyone. Like if you are insulting the person that is hiring you, if you are insulting your boss, your coworkers, chances are that you are going to have issues at work if you are able to get a job at all in the first place. So it's kind of this vicious circle in which you get stuck, really. And you know, the only thing that comforts me is that I believe in God. I believe in a higher source. I believe in the source of the all that is, and I believe that it is love, and I believe that it is a benevolent force, that I am unconditionally loved, just as everyone else is unconditionally loved, and that ultimately that's a will that it's able to perform miracles, that it's able to make everything happen, that its reality is kind of matrix like, it's malleable, it's not fixed. So I do believe that somehow I'm going to heal one way or another. It's just that, of course, if 2 years ago I had started taking the heavy metal toxic smoothie, day one I developed OCD, the full heavy metal toxic smoothie every day, every day, every day, who knows? Maybe 2 years later I would already be healed. But now, having to deal now that I received 11 because one bottle was broken. 11 bottles that I paid for wasn't a gift. Of course, with money that I was given, right? By my mom, but also by my work, right? Because I did an astrology reading, and they are already expired. They are unconsumable. It's like it's very frustrating. It's very frustrating, and people are not have not really signed my change.org dash world in Mexico petition. I really hope they do, because I mean, I wonder what does need to happen for people to wake up and understand that this is not only for this crazy person with OCD, but we all need wild berries available because we all have toxic heavy metals in the brain, and they are adding up just with the vaccines for COVID, for example, plus all the vaccines that we have being, you know, child children, and all that we inherit from generations past. Anthony says that there are mercury in our brains and bodies that can be centuries old. In the past, they used to give mercury elixirs to people when they went to the physician, because they thought that that was a cure for all diseases, and people got mad, literally mad. They went crazy. So if they conceived after that, you have and you are from that genetic line, you have toxic heavy metals in your brain. So it's something that affects us, and I think that it's not only you have a close family member, or maybe it's not only until you yourself have a terrible disease such as Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson, OCD, or your child has a very bad case of autism, that you realize how important this information is, and how important it would be that neurologists, medicine schools, really science and research would take seriously this information, and really make something to make the research. They should study the brains of people with Alzheimer's, dementia, to check for mercury, for aluminum, for toxic heavy metals. They need to develop the technology to be able to have a much more high resolution of the brain, so that they would be able to detect nanoscopic specks of toxic heavy metals inside the brain, and made a correlation that when a person is depressed and therapy doesn't work, when a person has anxiety and therapy doesn't work, and having a holiday doesn't work, when people are schizophrenic, when people have all these diseases, and they are not improving, because actually there are no cures. I mean, the pharmaceuticals that they give to people are palliative, but they are not addressing the real issue, which is toxic heavy metals in the brain. And the only way to solve it is, in this moment, as far as I know, the medical medium heavy metal toxic smoothie. All natural ingredients from plants that grow on the earth or on the ocean, in case of the Atlantic, those algae. But this information needs to go out, because it's devastating. Toxic heavy metals also feed the pathogens, the viruses that are behind autoimmune illnesses. They feed cancer, because cancer, most of the times, Anthony explains that it's a combination of at least one source of toxins, such as toxic heavy metals and others, and at least one pathogen, usually one type of virus, usually several virus, several sources of toxins in combination. That's what causes cancer, and that's why cancer is so different from person to person, because the combination of toxic heavy metals and other toxins, other poisons, DDT, insecticides, pesticides, herbicides, fragrances, etc., 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 that we have, solvents inside our bodies, and the different many viruses and mutation, the Epstein-Barr virus, the shingles virus, the cytomegalovirus, herpes simplex 1 and 2, uh, human herpes virus 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, and counting. And each one of these viruses have many mutations and varieties. Just the Epstein-Barr virus has more than 60 varieties. So you can have in your body two active, two different varieties of Epstein-Barr virus, two shingles, three HHV6. I mean, it's overwhelming. You can have strep, you can have staph infection, you can have H. pylori. It's really, really such a struggle that we face in this planet, and it's not going to get better any soon because more viruses such as COVID are engineered and bioengineered and then released into the population purposely because Chemtrails project releases toxic chemicals in every town, in every city, in every country on this planet. So it's something really terrible, but we need to face the situation because it's a reality and we need to do something about it, or we are not going to be able to enjoy our lives, not even partially. Having a disease, a condition, symptoms can be so devastating when you are not able to function anymore, when you have to be isolated, when you cannot function, when you live in mattress island, when you live in couch island, and as Anthony says, and Anthony really doesn't speak about what happens when you don't have the resources to apply the medical medium tools. He doesn't mention that, like he says the struggle to get to go to the grocery and get your salary. Well, and what happens when you don't even have the resources to buy salary? It's like to get all the supplements for the protocols that you need in order to heal. What happens with the millions and millions of people that are never going to be able to have daily salary use, much less daily heavy metal toxic smoothie? It's completely out of their reach. Well, as far as the current situation, let's say that their situation is not very promising, but this is going to get worse. I mean, health systems all over the world are going to collapse. Already, the life expectancy is dropping. And Anthony says that in the next years, it's going to drop even lower to 68 or something like that, 69. But that's probably going to be reported still like 72. Of course, they are not going to keep the real data, so not to scare the population, and so that people are not going to wonder what's really going on here. Anthony says in Medical Medium Life Changing Foods Expanded Edition that in a few decades from now, I don't remember if it was 50 years, I need to check the exact data, but it's there, that people basically let me not give you an incorrect information, but what he's saying is that infertility is going to rise even more. That infertility is going to rise even more. That in the future, people, physicians, doctors, medical doctors are going to recommend their patients, women, that they conceive once they are able to, at 18, at 19, at 20, and that they put their careers on hold until they have their children, if they want to have children at all, because if they reach 30, they can forget completely about having a baby, about having children. And of course, because the situation is going to be so dire, so awful, people are not going to want to have children anymore. Already, um, in more and more countries, there are more people that are dying than they are being born. So population is growing older, and what is going to happen? Like the population, the planet is going to be in a process of reduction. Everyone has been talking, oh, overpopulation, overpopulation, but actually, because of so many people dying and people having less children, actually that's going to change and the population is going to drop. So, I mean, this is not to scare you or to be negative. It's just that it's the way it is. It's reality. This is the world that we live in. It's the situation that we are facing. So, either we face it and do something about it personally and collectively, or we are fucked. So the option is ours, right? There's free will. Of course, free will that is limited because there's so much mind control, so much mind control at so many levels. We really have no idea how controlled we are. Jim Cell from Mastering Alchemy used to say, most of the things that you think and the emotions that you feel and the beliefs that you hold are not even yours. They don't have absolutely anything to do with you. The thoughts that you are thinking, the thoughts that are happening in your mind, in your brain, they are not even yours. Can you imagine that? But we live in a zombie-like state. We work to live to work, and live for the weekend, sleep for the holidays, numb ourselves out with alcohol, with tobacco, with drugs, recreative drugs, parties, sex, binge watching, doom scrolling, and then we die. It's a really sad situation. It's a really sad situation. Like it's really challenging and it's really sad. But these are the state of things. At the same time, we are going through the ascension process, which Spirit of Compassion calls the quickening, this acceleration. Technology is accelerating ever more, faster than ever before in history of humankind. And everything is going faster, time is changing, many things are changing, and we are awakening spiritually. But it's a complex change. A complex change. It's a shift that it's not an easy shift. It's simple actually, but it's not easy at all. So we need really to take care of ourselves. We really need to be informed. We really need to get hold of this extremely valuable information, such as the medical medium information, starting with the medical medium book series, 8 books published since 2015, two in expanded editions, um with hopefully many more coming in the future. God bless Anthony William and Spirit of Compassion, and the Angel of Mercy bless him and the angels, because the work that he's doing is making a massive difference in so many people that are able to apply his information even partially. And I also want to say this, even if you cannot apply like me all the protocols, there's something that you can do. For example, in the last few weeks I was reflecting, I have not eaten any no food, any dairy, any eggs, any gluten, any corn, any pork, and any soy. And that's so beautiful. That's so wonderful, because everything that you do, every step that you take, it's something that it's contributing for your improvement, for you being cured from your diseases, symptoms, and conditions. So everything you do matters, everything you do makes a difference. And even if you can only feel a little bit better, it's something. And I do believe in God. I do believe in the source of the all that is, that created everything, that is everything. I believe in unity consciousness. I believe that we actually are only one being, ultimately, one consciousness. Arne Allingham sing that in his The Ascension Papers book that he offers for free as an ebook on his webpage, www.zingdat.com. And you can get the free PDF and free ebook of the Ascension Papers. It has two big premises. We are the creators of our own reality, and we are all one. I believe that we are all one, that there's only one consciousness that permeates all. So I also heard himself saying once, consciousness is not interested in destroying itself. So ultimately, things are going to improve. I believe in many lives. So, well, even if we die from a terrible, full of symptoms and conditions, we will have another life in this planet, in other planets, and we are going to be healthy in those lifetimes, hopefully. But it's kind of, there's this benevolent force, and we need to keep the faith in it, in however we want to call it, God, source, the universe, the light, the angels. We need to have faith, because Anthony says in his first book, Medical Medium Revised and Expanded Edition, that the loss of faith leads people to do terrible things, that makes other people to lose their faith. So it's so critical to have faith in order to heal, to be to focus on the positive aspects of life, to be an optimist. So I want to say that to balance things, because of course, it's not about, oh, everything is terrible and we are just going to complain, 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 cry, and not do anything about it and only feel worst. No, the situation, it's what it is. The things are what they are, but we can change our attitude to the situation. We can change our reality. We do hold more power than we know, and that's critical, to tap into that in order to heal. So, well, I just wanted to give you that update and mentioning that Mercury is still in the sign of Pisces. It's in a sextile. It's going to be in a sextile in the next few days to Uranus, which is at the 29th degree to the anachoretic degree of the sign of Taurus, the last degree of Taurus, which is something very powerful. Uranus has a cycle around the sun of around 84 years. So basically, it's once in a lifetime transit that we are experiencing. Let's remember that in the last around 7 years that Uranus was in Taurus, it really made a revolution in everything having to do with the earth, with our bodies, with our own values, with our intuition, with our grounding, with our connection with nature. So hopefully those are some of the topics that you worked in your life in the last 7 years. If not, this is your opportunity to do it. Everything connected with the sign of Taurus, it's now in the concentrating last degree. It's about to change signs very soon for good, entering into Gemini. And now that Mercury is in a sextile to it for the last time while Uranus is in Taurus, it's very interesting because Mercury is the ruler of Virgo, and the south node of the moon, the transiting south node of the moon, is currently in the sign of Virgo. And I have spoken before that the Virgo Pisces axis in its lower octave points to the victim, rescuer, persecutor triangle. So everything is coming to the surface, everything is coming to the light, and it's the opportunity to transcend that triangle, to transcend that game. It's not easy at all because it was a template that was established around the time of Atlantis by very intelligent, very capable beings to have humanity trapped in the third dimension and lower fourth dimension. But we really need to transcend the victim, rescuer, persecutor triangle, the victim, attacker, savior triangle, however we want to call it. We always end up being the victim in the triangle. The victim is the victim, we understand that. Why the persecutor is the victim? Because usually persecutors were first victims and then they reacted by becoming, and they wanted revenge and they reacted by becoming perpetrators themselves. So they are victims actually. And then the damage that they do to other people, to their victims, they are actually doing to themselves because we all are one, right? This is information from You know, Zindad in his The Ascension papers speaks about this triangle. Also in the online mastering alchemy course, this triangle is talked with and dealt with. Also, Magenta Pixie in her Masters of the Matrix channel from the Wild Wing Collective Consciousness of Nine, and also the Ascension Papers is channeled from Zingdad's Higher Self and Spiritual Guides. This information comes to the fourth. It's spoken about. Um, so Zingdad in the Ascension Papers explains like so the perpetrator is victim because first they were a victim before becoming a perpetrator, and then because the damage that they do to other people they are actually doing to themselves, because we are one. And then the savior usually was a victim that said, I don't want to victim a victim anymore, I want to help other victims, and then they take the rescuer role. However, because we are the creator of our own reality, ultimately no one can save us. We are the only ones that can save ourselves because we actually are creating our own reality. This is so difficult to hear in the third dimension. It's impossible to understand on the third dimension, but it's the way it is, and it's going to be the way out. So we need to start listening to this fact. Of course, in a deep, compassionate, insightful, wise way, right? Because this is not about blaming the victim at all. This is about understanding what's really going on. Okay, so the savior actually is not able to save anyone. So what happens is that the savior trying to save a victim, the victim unconsciously is going to actually resent the savior. Why? Because unconsciously one wants to create our own reality. Everyone wants to create their own reality. So, and everyone knows deep inside that they are the creators of their own reality. So when someone comes and says, I'm going to give you your truth, I'm going to tell you what to do, I'm going to tell you how to save you, I'm going to save you, you cannot do it, I am going to do it for you. There's an unconscious resentment to that, because you know that you are the creator of your own reality. And because actually you are the creator of your own reality, no one can actually rescue you, no one can actually save you. So it's not going to work. And the victim ends up resenting the savior and turning against their savior. So the savior becomes the victim of the victim, and the victim becomes the perpetrator of the savior. The victim is not saved, and the savior becomes a victim trying to help out other people. So, as you can see, everyone ends up like a victim in this triangle, but it's an energetic pattern. It's not only something, it's curious that happens that way. No, it's an energetic template that is established in the lower four dimension. It's like some kind of energetic seal. It's a pattern that it's a template that is in the fourth dimension. So we start feeling better, increasing our vibration, but we end up entering to the energetics of this triangle, and we fall back down again. We all have been playing the victim, rescuer, persecutor triangle for so long, and of course there are other intricate energies associated, right? Like the guilt and blame, two-sided coin, right? That is part of it. Revenge is part of it. It's something that is just perpetuating the cycle. But it's important to understand you end up being a victim. It doesn't matter if you are a perpetrator or if you are a savior, you end up being a victim anyway. And that we all are one. The other person is you. So trying to hurt other people, it's not going to work because they are you. It's stupid to try to hurt other people. They are you. It's just an illusion, and this is going to keep us, and that makes everything slower and continue to continues to keep us trapped in the 3D and lower 4D of consciousness. So humanity is going to ascend. Humanity is going to ascend into the fifth dimension and into multidimension. But how is it? How's the process going to be for you personally? So get a hold of this information, study Abraham Hicks books, study and apply Ask and It Is Given by Esther Hicks and Jerry Hicks. Read David Hawkins' Power versus Force, so that you are better able to understand what I'm speaking about. Sorry. Read the Ascension papers by Zindat, read The Masters of the Matrix by Magenta Pixie, follow her YouTube channel, do the Mastering Alchemy online course, get the course in Mastering Alchemy book by Jim Self and Roxanne Burnett. Although it's not the full course is only the online course, but the book is still extremely valuable. It gives you tools that you can use to deal with the shift. There are many valuable information spiritually out there. Maureen Saint Germain books, Jerry Sargent books. There are many, 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 many valuable things. The Sophia Code by Kaya Ra, Drumbalo Melchizedek's teachings, Barbara Brennan, School of Healing, Lois Wetzel, Edina, Healing System. So many things. Christoph Melchizedek teachings too, and School of Neo-Shamanic Healing. There are out there many, many, many valuable things. Core Energetics, created by John Pierrakos, which fuses bioenergetics, which was created by him and Alexander Lowen. Bioenergetics is also extremely valuable as a psychotherapy, body therapy. And the Path Work by Eva Pierrakos. All these tools are extremely valuable for working on yourself. The Enneagram, Claudio Naranjo's books on the Enneagram, Beatrice Chestnut, the complete Enneagram book. There are so many things that we can do in order to work in ourselves. But we need more. This information needs to be out. Jeffrey Allen's Duality, a course on Mind Valley, Jose Silva's Ultramind and books in Mind Valley by Vishen Lakiani. There are many things. Robert Monroe Institute, the Monroe Institute programs, the Robert Monroe books, for us to wake up, for us to change spiritually. But we need to know this information, and most people don't know this information. It's a minority of people that are into these spiritual fields. Many people might know about Medical Minimum, that he exists. I mean, they see the books, they see that they have been bestsellers, but have they read them? Have they applied them? All the time, many more people, more and more people do, but not enough people. Not enough people. We need to share this information. We need to know it. So this is my update. I hope that I'm going to heal someday. Many blessings.